What's popping, my pimples? Welcome back to I'm in your walls probably. During Anime Expo this year, Sega gave a brutally honest look at the many animated Sonic projects they've done and the struggle behind them. Hosting this panel was a key figure of these animations, Aaron Webber, who practically disappeared back in 2020. If this panel proved one thing, it cemented the fact that Aaron Webber is arguably one of the most important people in Sonic's history. And some people don't like that. So let's talk about who this man is, what he did that was so important, why some people don't like him, and seemingly his return to Sega. But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Sonic content like this if you haven't already. Aaron Webber, for the unaware, was most known for being the head of Sonic social media for Sega of America throughout the mid to late 2010s, until 2020, where he transitioned to the role of Director for Strategy, Studio, and Community Relations at Sega of Japan. That is until 2022, where he left the company due to burnout. Aaron's relationship with Sonic and just Sega as a whole began in 2008. After being a volunteer moderator for the game Phantasy Star Universe, Aaron would be brought on as an assistant community manager and later as an associate brand manager. He became one of the main faces of Sega, appearing for loads of on-screen interviews, press tours, and events. He helped host a bunch of these early community gatherings like Sonic Boom and nurtured a lot of the Sega communities around Phantasy Star and Valkyria Chronicles, a game I had no idea existed before this recording. If you were a Sega fan at this point in time, you'd at least recognize Aaron, but most people would get to know him much better once he took over the Sonic social media accounts. But before he would do that, he would actually leave the company briefly, allegedly because he wanted to do some charity work. At the time of his leave, the Sonic social media pages, specifically Twitter, were pretty typical brand accounts. They'd post about upcoming games, do occasional giveaways, and that was about it. When Aaron returned to Sega, he was brought on to do the company's PR and manage the social media accounts. This is where his importance would become a lot more clear. Immediately after his rehiring, Aaron took a risk. See, Aaron was brought into this job right after Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric released. Sega had to lay off a bunch of staff and move offices because of just how badly the game performed. It was also because of this game that Sonic's reputation took its biggest hit. With low sales, low morale, and lack of respect from the games industry at large, Aaron would ignore the usual approval process for the Sonic social media, which involved getting Sega of Japan's approval for every post, and would simply begin to post whatever he felt would be fun, with the goal of changing the discourse around Sonic. This would include memes about Sonic and referencing parts of the Sonic fandom you wouldn't expect an official Sonic account to reference at the time. He would also use the account to respond more frequently to fans and critics. It started when the account joked with game critic and journalist Stephanie Sterling, who tweeted, "It makes sense they'd try another Sonic Boom game. I'm sure the TV series is popular enough. They'll milk that sucker dry." To which Aaron responded with, "The TV show's doing pretty well. P.S. We have a giant Sonic Colors poster here. You interested? #never forget." This being a reference to Stephanie's distaste for Sonic Colors. This would start an ongoing pattern of the Sonic social media account engaging with the conversations and fandom around Sonic. Whether they took a jab at what they saw as unfair criticism, brought in the Sonic voice actors to answer fan questions, or simply joked about Sonichu. It didn't all age well, but it did do wonders for Sonic's reputation. Mind you, this was a few years before Wendy's social media account would begin to roast people and change how every brand engaged with the internet. So Aaron was kind of an innovator in a sense. Besides, you gotta be doing something right if the company you're working for would rather air commercials on Adult Swim about the social media page you're running rather than commercials for their games. It was also around this time where he ushered in members of the Sonic community to do work for Sega, like when he gave Matt, the original owner of Tails Channel, a gig for the summer to do the social media, where he may or may not have gone on to make this infamous Mighty No. 9 tweet. Oops! But more importantly, Aaron would bring Christian Whitehead to the Sega offices to pitch Sonic Mania to Takashi Iizuka, the head of Sonic team. It's because of this meeting that Sonic got its highest reviewed game in literal decades and brought onto Sega the beginning of the end of Sonic's darkest era. Sonic Mania restored so much hope in the franchise and showed that younger, talented fans knew what was better for Sonic than a lot of the old heads at the company. Something I hope Sega continues to learn. It was around the rollout of Sonic Mania that Aaron would take yet another risk. Wanting Sonic to have more 2D animations, such as the one featured in the game Sonic CD from like the 90s, Aaron talked to his higher-ups about producing an animation for Sonic Mania, to which he was shut down. However, after the person responsible for Mania's marketing left, it was up to Aaron to come up with a launch trailer. So Aaron decided to spend all of the marketing budget on an animation, a budget that was little to none. This is where Aaron would bring yet another person from the Sonic community into the fray, known as Tyson Hesse. Tyson had made a comic years ago called Sonic's Big Fat Adventure that Aaron had seen. He reached out to Tyson, who had just graduated from school with a degree in animation, I believe, asking Tyson to do this animation for him. Tyson said yes to little animation experience, but Huey Ball, where Tyson would go on to form a small team of animators and bring onto the world what would become the animated intro for Sonic Mania in just 4 months, which for animation is insane. The success of this animation allowed for more animations to be made for Sonic projects, and those animations became great pieces of marketing that would land millions of views on the socials. Fast forward to the ugly Sonic fiasco, where the first trailer for the live-action Sonic movie was revealed and everyone hated Sonic's design. And you got Aaron Webber calling up Tyson Hesse from a Paramount lot with Jeff Fowler, the movie's director, asking Tyson to redesign Sonic. A design that single-handedly saved Sonic. No hyperbole, no exaggeration, that actually saved Sonic. And it all goes back to Aaron Webber. Of course, there were parts of Aaron's time at Sega that aren't always seen in the most positive of lights. For just as many people he platformed that did a net good for Sonic and just the community at large, he platformed people that weren't great. The most infamous case that was seen by the public at large would be Aaron Hansen of Game Grumps, who, while secretly a Sonic fan, was seen in the same light as the many people the social media was fighting against. This beef is actually so well known that my video about it is currently the most viewed thing on this whole channel. Alongside this, the social media page was known for constantly poking fun at Sonic's history and mistakes at a time where fans just wanted some sort of positivity to come out of the franchise. Not to mention, the jokes were just seen as lazy and repetitive to some. Regardless, we've seen time and time again where Aaron has fought to make Sonic what it is today. After his departure from the social media account and into Sega of Japan, we saw him appoint Katie Krzyzanowski alongside Justin Thorman as the heads of the Sonic social media. These two would go on to create the Sonic Symphony alongside the visual novel The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as so many more cool things. Aaron left Sega of America on a high note, but that was the last we heard of him. So to see the man again all these years later, alongside hearing his return to the company, who knows what the future holds? Is this return fueled by his passion for the brand, or out of Sega's desperation? Only time will tell. But what is certain is this: Aaron Webber kept Sonic alive during one of the worst times in the franchise's history and helped usher in the era we're currently in today. He took a bunch of risks that paid off, and it's because of his actions that Sonic still stands. So seriously, thank you, Aaron, for all you've done for this franchise. We would not be where we are today without you and your actions. What are your thoughts on Aaron's return? What was your favorite Sonic animation? Let me know in the comments below. Shout out to my patrons who make videos like this possible, and you for watching. Okay, bye!